It's good to see you again. It's been so long since you've been here. You had me thinking you were dead. How's your taxpayer mansion?
And TV. It's Wednesday, the 25th of October 2023. Beatrice Adamu Iji is my name, the anchor of Unity Trend this morning. And in the studio, I have Mr. Shaibu Duru, an in-house analyst and a political scientist. And it's lovely to have you tuned to this very dial. We are reaching you from the hills of ZINARIYA, Plateau State, Nigeria. Remember, Plateau is that home of peace and tourism. And thank you for being tuned. And at this point, I'll let Doro say good mornings to you, our listener and our viewer out there.
Thank you, Kubi. Let me confess that I love the Yoruba outfit you're putting on this morning. I think with the cap to match, it's actually an excellent combination. And kudos to whoever might or must have recommended the outfit to you this morning. It's a beautiful outfit. Good morning, listener and viewer. Thank you for staying tuned. We look forward to an interesting engagement as usual. And of course, it's a beautiful Wednesday morning. We pray for the best that the day actually has to offer.
Thank you very much, Doro. You're not looking bad either.
Yeah, well, thanks for the compliments too. Yeah.
All right, thank you, our listener and our viewer. You know what? I've heard people call themselves peace ambassador, and I keep wondering, of all the things in the world, what would you choose to be a peace ambassador? When someone called and say, peace is priceless, that puts me on my toes, and I began to wonder. And looking at the destructions that people have gone through, destructions of lives and property as a result of lack of peace in some times. And I remember, yes, it's good for one to choose to be a peace ambassador. Whether you are placed on salaries or not, it is one thing that you would never regret to do. Peace ambassador. All right, thank you. You may want to be a peace ambassador because today I have chosen to be one of those who call themselves peace ambassador. I am one. Thank you. Stay tuned. Discussion continues. This segment is that segment of newspaper review. Before I do that, you may also need to be told again and again that Unity Academy is just waiting for you. And it's one training that after it, I can bet you already that you will not regret being a part of Unity Media Academy. And thank you so much. All right, Doro.
Yes.
I just want us to talk about one trending issue at the moment.
Yes.
Very brief before we get to see the main headlines that we would love to pick for today's review. It has to do with the health condition of some people who have done well in movie industry, entertainment industry, and so on and so forth. But probably we'll just dwell on Mr. Ibu, and probably we also, on the plateau here, we'll look at the situation with Uzu.
Yeah, which of course that happened a few days ago.
Yes.
A few weeks ago, sorry. Yeah.
So Mr. Ibu has, there's this health challenge for quite some time. Before now, we thought he has gotten over the challenge, yes, but it's like it seemed to be coming back again all over. And let's just see what possibly could be the reason and how, in such instances, how should Nigerians, respond in order to see how we rally around to make sure if, maybe rescue.
Yeah, well, we are Nigerians, aren't we? We are a human community, could be, aren't we? And like we've always said, we have a moral, duty to actually be our brothers' keepers. That's why we are actually a human community. And like we've always said, every other thing comes secondary. The first thing is actually the fact that humanity, the first thing is actually our humanity, because that is what we actually share in common. In other words, that is actually the common denominator. And that's why in situations like this, we urge humanity to actually, we urge human beings to actually, look beyond sentiment, beyond primordial considerations, and then see what they can actually do to come to the aid of a fellow human being.
Yes.
And all of that. Of course, Mr. Ibu's situation is one that I must say is quite pathetic, could be, and it's very tragic, and of course pathetic that it actually has to come to this, you know, because at some point in time Mr. Ibu had to actually go public to seek support to be able to settle or sort out health bills and things like that. Of course, even as we speak, it is not clear what specifically Mr. Ibu is suffering from. But of course, according to some of the stories we've been able to stumble on, he was already facing the possibility of one of his limbs or legs being amputated. Actually, before, you know, some good-spirited Nigerians actually came to his rescue and things like that. Now, don't forget that Mr. Ibu is 63 years old, and I think, I mean, there's virtually no Nigerian who can actually say that he or she hasn't benefited from Mr. Ibu's, you know, comedies, you know, one way or another.
Yes.
This is somebody who has actually made our childhood very, very fun, very, very interesting, very, very sweet, with the, you know, sort of comic shows he has thrown up over the years and all of that. Some people say that you don't even need to watch Mr. Ibu's, you know, comedy movies to actually, you know, laugh. That he himself, you know, is a comedy. You understand, you know, his physique, you understand his physical features, you know, his, you know, mannerisms and things like that are themselves, you know, a source of comedy and things like that. You know, that is who Mr. Ibu really is. And to actually, you know, have him in this kind of situation is something that ordinarily should not be. You know, this is the issue. When I stumbled on the story that Mr. Ibu has been rushed to hospital and that the sum of 7 million naira was needed to actually conduct some surgeries on him and things like that, and that his family could not afford the bill, and so they had to go public to seek support and things like that, I was taken aback, because I mean, I don't know how many movies, you know, Mr. Ibu, you know, has acted over the years, but I can say that you know, he has acted more than 100 movies. Yes, and so the question I've kept, you know, because sure. I mean, I've seen Mr. Ibu in countless movies. You know, this is the issue. So the question, you know, I asked myself when I stumbled on the story was, it was Mr. Ibu not being paid for all these movies he has acted and all of that? Why? I mean, how come he seemingly is not able to afford the sum of 7 million naira to sort out health bills and things? I mean, medical bills and things like that. This is the issue. I do recall that it took, you know, patriotic Bukola Saraki to sort out the bill. You know, this is the issue. I mean, when Bukola Saraki heard of the, you know, I mean, Mr. Ibu's plight, what he did was to quickly, you know, or instruct his foundation to actually sort out the bills and things like that. And since then, some good-spirited Nigerians have actually been, you know, coming to help and things like that. But of course, I am also aware that Mr. Tinubu's wife, I mean Mr. Ibu's wife, you know, Stella Okafo, actually had to call out the Actors Guild of Nigeria for refusing to come to her husband's aid, you know, when it became obvious that,
what he has done, his contributions to the industry.
This is the issue. I mean, it should not even have had to take, you know, Bukola Saraki and some other Nigerians to actually, in the first place, Mr. Ibu is not even supposed to be in that situation where he actually had to, you know, beg for public support to be able to actually sort out
yes, you begin to ask questions. So what is the role of Actors Guild? They should have been the ones, you know, to champion, you know, this whole issue. Not even the family.
Not even this is the issue. And could be, I am even tempted to ask, what is even the Actors Guild of Nigeria, AGN, even doing about the welfare of its members? Because I don't want to believe that a person like Mr. Ibu cannot afford 7 million naira to, you know, at some point in time in the past, I stumbled on some stories about Mr. Ibu's net worth and things like that, which at that time was put at around, you know, $2 million and things like that. And I think that if you're worth as much as $2 million, I mean, in today's, you know, Nigeria, you should be worth probably, you know, around 1 or 2 billion naira and things like that. You know, but then from what is going on now, it is apparent that the story was simply made up. It's not true that Mr. Ibu is worth that much. This is the issue. But at the same time, it could be, on the flip side, when you look at the sort of, lavish lifestyles that, female actors are living, you are tempted to actually ask what is really going on with the male actors in the industry. This is the issue. I'm also aware that, like you rightly mentioned, Karuzu, also Abdullah Shuaibu, one of the prominent, and longest serving actors in Kannywood, also known as Karuzu, who, of course, like we know, is based here in George.
Yes.
At some point in time in the past, he also, a few months ago, he also, struggled with a health situation and was at the same time facing a possible eviction from his rented apartment before a patriotic Ahmed Musa, Nigeria's, Super Eagles captain, actually came to his rescue by way of buying him a new house and then giving him the sum of 500,000 naira and things like that. This is the issue. At some point in time again, Idris Moda, another prominent Kannywood actor, also had to struggle with health challenges and things like that. Tahir Fage, another prominent name, another popular name in the Kannywood, also at some point in time had to go public as a result of inability to afford 250,000 naira for a surgery and things like that. The story is there, but at the same time, if you look at the sort of lifestyles that their female counterparts in Kannywood are living, this is the issue. At some point in time here in Jos, one of the prominent actors, Tanimu Akau, actually had to call out some of the female actors in the industry. He was even confessing specifically that he has been in the industry for over a decade, but young girls who came many years after him are riding, and showing off poshy cars, expensive houses and things like that. The same thing is happening even in Nollywood. Charles Inoji, one of the prominent names in the industry, at some point in time, just lately during an interview, actually confessed that it's difficult for a male actor to make it in the industry that easily, or so easily, because it seems to have become a ladies' world. Young girls come out. In fact, he confessed that there are ladies who practically can't even, act minor roles in movies. But then you discover that after a year or two, they are showing off houses and expensive cars and things like that. This is the issue. But what is happening to the male counterpart in the industry could be. This is the issue. So I feel this is something that needs to be.
Well, that's another angle of it, of this entire conversation.
Definitely.
But also, let's look at the angle of the fact that we have, you have unions, you have associations, you have all these things for every industry. Now, let's go back to having to talk about Actors Guild of Nigeria.
Yes.
Okay. Now, probably I've not stumbled on their own part of their efforts in order to see how they come out to help Mr. Ibu concerning his health challenge. Probably I've not stumbled on that. But yes or not, I want to see a situation where if there is an association, if there is a guild like this, it is solidly should be your responsibility.
Definitely.
When one of you is going through health challenge or any other form of challenge at all, then you see how to help.
To come out to help.
So I want to believe that's the reason, the sole reason for
establishing such associations. Definitely.
So, but if we don't see it like this, then it calls for questioning.
It's questionable.
And then again, yes, if Mr. Ibu is not able to settle this, one of the angles to begin to wonder is that the industry is not as lucrative as one would just
ordinarily think
of it to be. And I want to believe again that film, has not been accepted in some part of this country. As you hardly find parents who would ordinarily want their children
to become actors.
Because to them is an industry that has a lot of questionable things,
morality-wise and things like that.
And now again, beginning to understand that it's like it's not lucrative. Then why should my child be there? Why should I even support my child who has passion for any of this? So there are a lot of issues.
There are issues to actually look at.
So, but whatever it is, we just pray that Mr. Ibu will get.
Well, according to his daughter, one of his adopted daughters, this morning, is it this morning or yesterday? She came out to say that he has undergone 2 separate surgeries and that his health condition is improving. And the Actors Guild of Nigeria, the AGN, under the leadership of Emeka Rollers also has been able to extend some support to, but that is after some good Nigerians had already done the needful, and that is also why his wife has been lamenting the whole situation, because I mean they should have been the first to respond to Mr. Igbo's situation, but why did it have to take a public plea before they were able to come out to support him and things like that? So I think they have intervened. And just yesterday I listened to Kanayo, one of the prominent names in the industry, also coming out to refute some of the claims, or some of the allegations leveled against, the AGN and things like that, as far as, the intervention in the situation is concerned. But I think what we can deduce from all this is the fact that, the support actually came a bit late, which is not supposed to be.
Well, but we appreciate the fact that it's better late than
never. Yeah,
this is so our Actors Guild of Nigeria, we appreciate anyway, and thank you. Let's just go quickly to see this one. This one is it has to do with economy and politics altogether, because this one says SUVs we considered cost back roads before approving Land Cruisers. Senate.
Wow, could be,
this issue is coming back.
It's coming back again, it's been there, and it will always be there until it's eventually sorted out. But could be Nigerians.
Will it ever be sorted out?
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Because I see the National Assembly, being all out to make sure it works.
Definitely.
And the public, Nigerians, are saying no. And so you see, they are at the helm of affairs. They're the ones to make it happen.
Definitely.
Ours is just to say no, but. Yes, of course. I know also that there's a particular group that, it took them to court.
Definitely.
So also to look at issues that has to do with the cost, because it's that much.
It's a lot. Yeah, definitely. Serap has taken them. I mean, taking the Senate to court. With a view to
on this issue.
Maybe securing an injunction to stop them from. Going ahead with the purchase and things like that. And I do understand that about 50 or 60 billion has already been earmarked for the purchase of these SUVs for the 469 lawmakers, in both, chambers, both in the 360 senators, the 360 reps members in the House of Reps, and then the 109 senators in the red chamber. That amounts to 469 or thereabout.
Yes.
This is the issue, and so the sum of 60 billion has already been earmarked, for the purchase of SUVs, sports utility vehicles for all of them, and all of them. And Nigerians, as usual, as you would expect, have actually been a bit vocal against the entire, proposition, because they feel it's actually exorbitant, and it should not be, especially at this point in time when citizens are grappling with lots and lots of economic issues and things like that. So they naturally feel that it's insensitive and sort of unpatriotic for the Nigerian government, especially the lawmakers who will be the beneficiaries of, these particular, this particular intervention. It's sort of insensitive on their part to be spending that much on cars at the time when 163 million Nigerians are said to be suffering from multidimensional poverty, and all of those issues could be.
And my Shaibu, yes. My worries here is that now for them to say bad roads, now bad roads, who is primarily saddled with the responsibility of making fixing the roads?
That's my question.
If the roads are bad, and it is your primary duty to make sure you make all the laws that will make sure the roads are fixed, and yet you don't do it. So you have chosen an alternative, so that Nigerians who don't have to go to have some SUVs will keep suffering bad roads.
Thank you for the
reminder. And you are done.
Yes, I mean, when I stumbled on the story, I said, well, it's standard practice for politicians or political office holders all over the world to be made as comfortable as they can be, so that they have the psychological stability to be able to make decisions that translate into improved living conditions for people or for citizens. But at the same time, could be, like you rightly said, I mean, somebody said just yesterday, I stumbled on a certain, comic post, that somebody shared on Facebook, where he said that if you lose, a brother or a mother or an uncle to bandits attack and things like that, the best that you get from the, National Assembly or from Nigerian politicians is a 2-minute silence, and that's the end of it. Nothing happens as far as interrogation or probing the root cause of this.
So the silence is now 2 minutes.
It's just 1 or 2 minutes. Okay, well, I don't know. 1 or 2 minutes.
A minute silence.
Yeah, well, it used to be, but maybe it's been increased now
it
to
has
maybe
been
2 minutes. I don't know, but it's just probably another way of showing. I mean, there's another way of expressing, how Nigerians feel about these kinds of, situations and things like that. So when I stumbled on the story, I mean, Sunday Karimi, a Senate chairman of the Senate Committee on on services, was actually saying that it baffles him that Nigerians are crying wolf over the entire issue, because at the end of the day, what is wrong with them acquiring SUVs and things like that? They had to consider the cost, and then of course the nature of Nigerian roads and other technical issues and things. And then the question I asked myself was, whose job is it to actually ensure that the roads are actually fixed and things? And like you rightly said, so you have actually found yourself an alternative, and then you have allowed the millions of Nigerians who are not so privileged to actually perish on the bad roads and things like that, because you yourselves have already gotten yourself some alternatives and things like that. This is
they don't want to fill the potholes,
and like it is always said, like it is said in the sick tune we use for Unity Train, Mr. Politician. That song, like I always say, typically satirizes the mindset of the Nigerian politician, right? And the song will always say, Mr. Politician, right? You got me thinking you again. You got me thinking you again. How's your taxpayers' money, right? How's your taxpayers' mansion? Because at the end of the day, how is your taxpayers' mansion?
Because how is your taxpayers'
any of their money? How is it their money?
160
million naira will be spent on each of these cars. Could be. So how can it possibly be their money? It is the taxpayers' money. But at the same time, the taxpayer is saying, give me a minimum living condition and I'm fine. Go and do whatever you want to do. Go and still have how much ever you want to steal and things, but make me comfortable too. But that is not happening. This is the issue. And so we admit that Nigerian politicians should be made comfortable, but at the same time, what are you giving back for the comfort you are enjoying? Because if my money as a taxpayer is used to make you comfortable as you can be, what are you doing in return? What are you doing to actually pay me back for the sacrifices? Because it should be a give and take kind of arrangement, isn't it? That is the arrangement at the end of the day, that I should make you comfortable with my money, and then you also make me comfortable through making decisions that actually translate into improved living conditions and things like that.
If bad road is the reason for the procurement of such...
What is
why don't we just fix the roads?
What is difficult?
So that everybody benefits from it.
This is the issue.
Politicians, every Nigerian benefits from it. And then we have smooth ride on our roads. Simple.
It's simple.
And now they want to have smooth ride on our roads, not with Nigerians.
Not with Nigerians. And of course, SUVs don't normally, are normally sort of anti-potholes and things like that.
Yes.
I must put it that way. This is the issue. So that's why I did say that maybe, at the end of the day, I think that, sometimes some of these people do need to experience what the ordinary Nigerian goes through before they are able to understand what it actually feels like to be in certain situations. Nigerians have died on unmotorable roads. Nigerians have died in road accidents as a result of the unmotorable nature of Nigerian roads and things like that. But at the same time, could be how many Nigerians or politicians, for example, have lost their lives on Nigerian roads as a result of the deplorable nature of the roads and things like that. This might just be why they don't want to fix it. This is the issue. So we're not saying that, in fact, we do care as citizens about the welfare and the well-being and the security of the lives and property of our lawmakers and other political office holders and things like that. But at the same time, I think there should be some level of sensitivity when it comes to some of these things, isn't there? Because at the end of the day, I don't think it makes sense to spend as much as 60 billion on purchasing cars for lawmakers at a time when you are proposing 28,000 as intervention for vulnerable Nigerians and things like that. I think it doesn't really make sense. It should not be happening at a time when Nigerian workers are clamoring for salary increase, which is seemingly not forthcoming, and things like that.
At a time when Nigerians will sleep hungry.
Hungry, yes. When
Stay
Nigerians
all day hungry.
When the defense sector is complaining of underfunding as a result of inability to give them a lot of money to take care of logistic challenges and things like that. I feel there should be some sort of prudence or some sort of sensitivity when it comes to even managing governmental resources and things like that.
It's so sad to hear or to recall that we've lost our beloved ones. Because of having to dodge manipulate over some.
That's the experience on daily basis.
We have never received any call, so that we have public transport where is of SUVs.
Definitely.
So that Nigeria, the drivers will not have to go through.
This is the issue.
To have anyway. But we just have but a few minutes to go on this. Maybe let's just look at this federal government. Restates commitments to autonomy for local governments. Maybe a few minutes and let's see what we can do around here.
Yeah, well, Finai, who is the country's Minister for Special Duties, was speaking yesterday during an event, and then he was actually saying that very soon, the issue of local government autonomy will actually be sorted out, and then the country will actually hopefully be the better for it. But we look forward to what eventually happens as a result of that, because this issue of local government autonomy, has been a recurrent discussion on the political space, and it appears that the willingness to, sincerity to actually pursue the issue to its logical conclusion is simply not there. And apparently,
these are issues we look forward to having it get done.
Could be even in developed climes. In India, for example, even at the local government level, you still have other lower levels of government. This is the issue. But here in Nigeria, and of course we call ourselves a federation. I think we should be a federation because the system of government in place is actually federalism. This is the issue. And federalism, as experts will always define it, is supposed to imply a situation where there's a dynamic balance between centrifugal and, of course, centripetal forces and things like that. We are supposed to have a situation where the federal government is actually a bit weak, and then the lower levels of government are strong and things like that. Because at the end of the day, if you talk about public welfare, public well-being, and things like that, it actually rests on the shoulders of the lower levels of government and not even the FG. This is the issue. In developed climes where you have, a true federal system, what the FG does is to simply, take care of issues that have to do with, national currency, security, and diplomacy, and things like that. This is the issue. But here in Nigeria, you discover that the government or the federal government seems to have actually bitten more than it can chew. It is the same federal government that wants to take care of education, issues of information, issues of agriculture, issues of security, issues of economy, issues of job creation, and things like that. That is also why you can see that the FG has always not been able to perform optimally, because it has bitten more than it can chew. And the lower levels of government that are supposed to actually be directly involved in issues of well-being and economic well-being and things like that are the ones that have actually been impoverished and actually reduced to mere appendages in the hands of the national government and things like that. So it should not actually be. And talking about the local government system in Nigeria, I think it's a far cry from what it should be, because I'm aware, and the last time I checked, even when the National Assembly attempted to sort of review the modus operandi of the federal system, and then maybe give some sort of autonomy to the local government levels to be able to operate optimally, the state governments did not actually support the move, because for them, they gave their reasons, but what we were able to understand was that it's not going to all go well for them, because practically they have actually pocketed the local governments and things like that, and so they don't want anything to actually happen to the current arrangement, because it's going to deny them of certain privileges and opportunities and things like that. And so I think will be at the end of the day, if we really want to sort of make progress as far as our federal system is concerned, I think the lower local government level should be given some sort of, the local government, level should be given some sort of autonomy to be able to make decisions that translate into, improved living conditions for citizens. And the issue of joint accounts too is something that has been, a bone of contention. Governments at the lower level or at the third tier of government should be able to access their monies directly and be able to spend on whatever they feel should, translate into improvement in living conditions and things like that.
Well, thank you very much, Doro. Our viewer and our listeners, stay tuned. We're going to short break. When we come back, it's going to be another beautiful one. Stay tuned.
Mr. Politician, it's good to see you again. It's been so long since you've been here. You had me thinking you were dead. How's your taxpayer mansion? How was your...
The Financial Services Regulation Coordinating Committee, FSRCC, in collaboration with the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, wishes to draw the attention of the public to the worrisome increase in the activities of illegal financial operators, IFOs, which threaten public trust and the stability of the Nigerian financial system. The FSRCC and NBC hereby advises the general public to refrain from dealing with unlicensed financial operators who deceive individuals with unrealistically high investment returns. Make sure to verify the licensing status of such companies and schemes on this website. To report any suspicions of illicit financial activities, call 0700 225 5226, 0800 225 5226, or +234 817 665 6273. Let's work together to uphold the integrity of Nigeria's financial system. Announcer, FSRCC.
Please pay attention. It starts from the foundation. Everybody needs somebody. You turn a blind eye and care nothing less. Say it's just business, all about the money. You are so unbothered as long as they pay. Say it's just business, all about the money. You know they're on a fast lane, but you've got business to run. So you look away the other way.
It concerns you. It a kill law, it a kill dreams. It a land people for jail. War against drug abuse.
Mr. Politician, it's good to see you again. It's been so long since you've been here. You had me thinking you were dead.
I'm so happy to be in the studio this morning. It's Wednesday, the 25th of October, 2023. Beatrice Adamu Ishi is my name, and you can just call me Cool B. That too go down well with me. And of course, this Unity train, in case you're just tuning on, we're reaching you live from the hills of ZINARIYA here in Jos City, Plateau State, Nigeria. Remember, Plateau is the home of peace and tourism. So you may want to be one of those who call themselves peace ambassadors. It's not just a call, it's a determination. And so let's be all out to make sure we play our part in order to ensure the sustenance of peaceful coexistence as we have it on the plateau. And thank you so much. My guest for today's discussion is already seated. He's a friend of the studio, and he's not a guest, so to say, but of course that's the only English language available for us to say. Otherwise, I would say he is even the anchorman here, because he's always been here. Anytime we call him, he's all here. And so I'm talking about Professor Ahmad Muhammad Sabo, School of Medicine, University of Jos, Public Affairs Analyst, so to say. All right, and today's topic has to do with you and my humble self in the studio. And so we call it mental health issues, let's say in Nigeria and in Plateau. Prof, You may want to say good morning to our listener and, of course, our viewer at this moment.
Good morning, listeners. Welcome to the program.
All right. Mental health issues. Sometimes, pros, we would say mental health problem, mental health issues. Is there any difference to say mental health issue, mental health problems? Or is all the same?
Well, technically it is the same.
Okay.
It is a matter of semantics.
Okay.
We're just trying to be very polite with the issue affecting the minds.
All right.
Because there's this high risk of stigmatization whenever the issue of mental health is raised. Somebody was saying, everyone for Nigeria decolo. It's like everyone is mental, like sick in the head.
Yes.
You could say that people there's something we call mass hysteria. When you see like an epidemic psychiatric disorder, disorder of the mind of people that spread. Ordinarily we talk of epidemics when we talk about diseases that have infectious agent. So the infectious agent transmits from one person to the other, and then we think of epidemics when it is spreading fast and causing morbidity and or mortality.
Yeah, right.
That's the definition of epidemics. But you see, in the mind, how can my own mind affect your own mind? Yeah, it does. It's not an infectious agent. It's just the nature of human imitating. Right. We learn most things by imitation, right from early childhood. So if you behave in an awkward way, there is a way that it affects me, even though there's no any particle coming out from you into me to cause what we may consider as infection. No, it's just me imitating what you're doing, and I may do it almost compulsively, uncontrollably, so that people can learn. So when you have things like shapum lera, when people shout and say they have lost their genitals, most of the time it's mass hysteria. It starts somewhere and spread. It's the people imitating others uncontrollably. It's usually when people are pressed. The society, maybe economic downturn, social problems, insecurity. When the minds are bucked that much, the ability of people to reason becomes less. People react and behave impulsively. So you could have mass hysteria, but naturally, usually, issues that have to do with the mind are stigmatized. People have emotional issues, psychological issues. They have problem living with others. They may even understand that they have problem, yet they can't seek for help because it's stigmatized. If you quarrel with someone whom you once detected in psychiatric hospital, naturally you attribute him being crazy or mad, so to say. So it becomes stigmatized. Next time you have some issue together, you say, I'll see you for Ward 1 now. You get crazy. We say we don't know. We saw you there.
Yes.
But he may be better than you even in mental stability. But the fact that he's seeking help there doesn't, but the stigma is global. That is why even those who have people with the issue of the mind, problems, troubles in the thoughts, and trouble with staying with other people, interacting socially, they call them psychotherapists, but they had to decapitate the mind, so that they leave the names therapist.
All right.
When you are having so many thoughts that you are not comfortable with, you are making wrong decision, you could just see a therapist. Formerly they say psychotherapist, but still because the issue of psycho has already they are stigmatizing. It's already affecting the decision, so they have to even remove the name psycho and call them just therapist or counselors. But essentially, they do work on your mind so that you become stable, so that your mental health will improve. So they say issue instead of problems. We don't talk about mental health problems. We mostly talk about mental health issues. I'm having some issues. It's downplaying the significance, but it's because of the stigma, the fear of the stigma.
All right, Prof. Yes, of course, in your submission already, I could see that you have helped to some extent, maybe like to explain. I wouldn't mind if you would, again, for the sake of a better and better and deeper understanding as the conversation goes deeper, so that we get to understand what is, when we say mental health, what are we really talking about here? And because I just want us to, after this, we'll begin to talk if Nigerians, considering the harsh economic situations, has it anything to do with mental health? But before then, maybe by explanation, not really by definitions of mental health.
Well, just to explain this simply,
Yes.
mental health is about our emotional, psychological, and social well-being.
Well-being.
Yes.
Well-being.
If you remember, the World Health definition of health is like health is the state of complete physical, social, emotional, psychological,
I
and
see.
spiritual well-being of an individual.
I see.
Not just the mere absence of disease or infirmity. So you see, when you're just balanced, you're functioning. We say you're healthy. Even if someone is having some cancer sticking around, but it's not preventing them from functioning, we still consider that person as healthy. That's the World Health definition of. So it includes social, psychological, emotional, and even spiritual.
All right.
So
Let's, let's go now to see, okay, Nigerians, the last administrations, we had a long time, like 8 years, having to go through what Nigerians would prefer to describe as economic hardship. And now again, with the removal of fuel subsidy and other things as we are seeing, most Nigerians are thrown into having to go through what ordinarily they wouldn't have based on the plans they had on ground. And it's still, again, economic hardship. So, has it any effect to our health?
certainly mental health, certainly hardship in not only human, even lower animals. Really, deprivation can really cause some behavioral changes. If you notice, people are very aggressive, even on the road now.
Yes.
The impatience, the irritability, oversensitiveness, it's all affecting us. It's a problem. That's what happens when you're deprived and you're hopeless. Sometimes deprivation with some degree of hope will really quell the issue. It can control the moods of the society. And I'm telling you, even this Shapum later, people shouting that they've lost their identity, is a symptom of poor mental health. It's leading us to something like akin to mass hysteria. Things, people behaving and inducing others to even behave negatively. That is the issue on ground. So the economic problem, last administration, we didn't do well as far as communicating with the public is. You see, people, words have power. When you say the right thing as a leader, it can motivate the nation, the people in the country.
Okay.
So the lack of even use of good words to communicate with the citizens has really worsened the condition. I don't know whether this government will do better. But honestly, as far since the swearing of this administration, I don't think they are communicating as well. Even with the removal of subsidy, there was no word to assure people, to tell them the benefit of this withdrawal of subsidy, which has heralded the inflation that we're witnessing. Everything, skyrocketing prices of everything, foodstuff, transportation costs, and so on and so forth. So truly it affects people, but they say words have power. Even as an individual, when someone has emotional, psychological, social issue, and they say can you help from a therapist, it's words they give you. They don't give you injection. They don't give you tablets. It's words, because words have power. Words can destroy a person, and words can motivate a person, and it can do the same to a nation. Words, the right thing being said, can motivate a nation. The wrong thing said can also cause problem in a nation. It can cause war. It can cause chaos. It can induce certain chain of events that will lead to poverty of the whole citizens of the country. That is it.
All right. When you talk about behavioral change, my mind just went to some instances where in the city you would just see a keke man, and of course his potential passenger. Okay, just trying to say, okay, I don't have much of this amount which you request for a drop, and so can you please just help me? And then the keke man will just, ease and look at you and begin to insult, and like, why would you say a thing like this? Just, I don't have much to give you. Do you think this also has to do with what Nigerians are going through?
It is, as I've said earlier. It's just people are becoming irritable.
Yes, you mentioned that.
Our threshold in a community, our threshold for aggression has been lowered. Small thing, we flare off. It's a state. It's a worrisome thing. It's something that the authorities should look upon, and it requires the input from experts. To the political elites who make decisions that will help start helping people, because it's not healthy. It is not healthy. It is a trigger for so many other problems. The aggressive nature of people is courtesy of the hardship. But sometimes, as I said, words have power. The right thing being said can increase our tolerance threshold.
All right.
We could tolerate more of problem with each other. We can relate with each other better because, as we say, mental health issues about the emotional, psychological, and even social, the way we relate to each other. If we tolerate each other, we make room for each other in our lives, and we tolerate each other's minor transgression, then we're better off.
All right,
we're
Prof.
happier.
Prof, you are okay. Let's see if this has something to do as regards to, people are resorting to dive into crimes, and most often anyone is apprehended and you ask them, they tell you, I was just hungry, or I couldn't get to go to school. And probably someone who ordinarily before then was passionate, wanting to school, and here he or she is not able to do that, and so would just dive into any of such immoral acts. And has it anything to do with that?
It does have to do a lot with it. You see, there is this idea of justification. Someone taking a gun and robbing people on the highway, they almost justify that. Look, probably these are traders from Jos to Kano. They've been ambushed on the road, and the mindset of such criminals is like, these are the people that keep increasing price in the markets. So I am justified if I rob them. So it's an issue of how they think. The thought content is bad. They are apportioning blame to the ordinary person that is even struggling to. The thing may be coming from the leadership, the political elites,
may be coming from
who also may be having their own mental
issues.
Because Professor Lambolet, the Nigeria foremost psychiatrist, has suggested at one time that everyone vying for a political office should be screened by a psychiatrist. Because the behavior, the insensitivity of the political elite is legendary, especially in Nigeria. Is they have no concern, not even for themselves, because the callousness with which they embezzle public fund and make the system not to work could come back, can boomerang, and end up hurting them too. When the society is destroyed, they can't live here, and they can't do well outside the country, no matter how much they stash cash outside. So it's somebody that doesn't even care in the long-term effect of themselves and keep doing the same thing that can go around. What goes around comes around, and hurt them and their families too. Is certainly needed to be scrutinized for his mental well-being, mental health issues. So it's not only the common people. People were reacting to a problem. It doesn't justify somebody robbing. Economic situation is not a reason for someone to take up the crime. But they always do. It's like they're punishing the wrong person. No, it's a transfer of aggression. The political elite caused the problem. And you're now robbing other people and justifying that, look, it's because I don't have job, it's because I couldn't go to school. No. Before man and God, you're wrong.
You're wrong.
If the political elite caused the problem, you have no right to go and commit crime in the name that you're trying to survive. There are many other ways that are legal for one to survive. It's a question of justification, which is wrong. You can't justify crime with deprivation in the whole society. It's not affecting only you. Other people that are just sticking to their legitimate job are the same like you. Why shouldn't yours be different? Why should you take up the crime? That's the issue.
All right. Prof, again, let's just tilt this towards the Sunday appeal court judgment. Of course, it will have to have people go through some sort of thinking, and resorting to what next to do. because after all, we thought it's over, only to discover on Sunday that again we'll have to start all over. So people will have to go through some thinking. And how best do you think the people should think so that it will go down well with us as a people to still sustain the peaceful coexistence that we have on the plateau?
Well, it's usually the political class that sometimes instigate common people to take up to the streets.
All right.
It's not a widespread phenomenon. Most people know that struggles over political position, maybe that end up in a court, may not necessarily change their lives. They know that. Most people, 99% of people know that. It doesn't matter. Because the system is a systemic collapse. We have problem with the social, economic, and political status of the country. It doesn't affect us. We have a system, we have agreed to allow it work. If political elites have grievances, they settle it at the poll. If there are problems, it goes to the court. For you have just exercised your civic responsibility. If you want to make the system better in the future, you get involved in the development of the system, the betterment of the system. It's a faulty system that is resulting in all these things, and it doesn't directly translate into our socio-economic well-being. Okay. Most people know that. Okay. Whenever you see some kind of skirmishes following a court ruling, they are usually sponsored. Usually they are sponsored. Go and do a survey now. You find out the emotion of the people, their feeling. They're not even concerned about it. They're not even concerned about it.
All right. Okay, Prof, you made mention of, just words. The way you talk to people, you communicate, that has a lot to, give them a directions which will, of course, will be positive. So at this point, of course, we have the political elites, those who are probably at the helm of affairs. So it is expected of them at this point to be the ones to champion, talking to their followers, their supporters, how to behave in a time as this on such occasions. So any word for them, and then...
Well, unfortunately, the culture of talking to people is dying fast.
It's dying fast.
It's dying fast. We just believe in the law enforcement agents. Political leaders will use force to quell any dissenting voice. It has been the order. We've already forgotten the power of words. And power of words are much more than barrel of the gun.
Oh, yes.
They create hope. They make people see.
Power of the word, create hope.
Yes.
Make people to see.
To see beyond the ordinary. And it controls their mood, their emotion, and their action. It controls the mood, the emotion, and the action. So I think it's time to go back to this old trade of talking to people in a sensible way. Tell them what they need to know and raise their level of hope. Life doesn't start and end at the pole. There are many aspects to our dynamics as human in the society.
Life doesn't start and ends at the pole.
Not even in the court.
Not even in the court. All right, thank you very much. So, way forward, what would be your advice, what would be your take as regards to what should be done in order to help people know their mental health status and, of course, to get over it and still be positive?
There's a famous line by Professor Jeremy Griffith, who is the author of a book called Freedom, The End of Human Condition. Human condition is something I have been interested in for the last 1.5 years. It's about an analysis of the nature of human that is resulting into problems, all the problems you can think of in the world. It's about, it starts from a question, why are humans competitive, aggressive, and selfish? Why can't they be cooperative instead of competitive? Loving
instead of competitive.
Yes, loving instead of aggressive, selfless instead of selfish. That is the question. Professor Jeremy Griffith committed almost 40 years of his life working on this issue of human condition, the nature of human, why are we aggressive? You see, political polls, election, are all competition. We haven't learned how to do it
Cooperatively.
It will have killed the aggression that comes along with it, the selfishness that comes with it. No, yes, you're allowed to compete, but within moderation. But over competitiveness will almost create a hype winner and a hype loser, and the losers are never ever happy. Winners will be elected, but if they are sensible, they know they are in danger because someone is not happy. But if this political issue are done in, not only politics, it affects all space of life, economics. Okay. So Professor Jeremy Griffith talked about so many things, but I remember one of his lines. He said, "Inside cure our psychosis."
Okay.
If you know your problem, you're better off.
If you, by yourself.
Yes, even problem affecting your mind. If you know you are reacting badly to certain situation, you are not managing the situation well. If you understand that, you're better. It's like two mentally ill people. One was eating garbage from the dump site. And then suddenly he had an insight and said, "Oh, I'm eating from this. I'm not supposed to do that. Look, let me go and see the doctor. Something is wrong with me. I just saw something in the dustbin. And I started eating it. Look, something is wrong with me." And he presented himself to the hospital. Then another one has to be spotted by relations. And they picked him eating dirt in the trash can. And they took him there and he was shouting that, "Look, if you want me to give you a little bit of it, I can give it to you. We can share. Why are you holding me and taking?" So you can see the difference is that one has an insight. He understands that he's behaving abnormally. So insight cures our success. Even as human, our competitiveness, our aggressions, and our selfishness. If we understand that it's partly part of our struggles in the course of our evolution, then we will better manage our action. Because when you talk about mental health, is when you have this emotional, psychological, and social well-being that can affect your actions. It can affect your reaction, actions, and the way you relate with other people, and do it in a better way.
Yes, you have to know your problem yourself, and then if you do that, you'll be able to help.
Even as a society, insight cures our psychosis, according to Professor Jeremy Griffith.
Prof, you remind me of when I told somebody. I said, "Look, you see madmen. We call them madmen, right? And eating dirt from our refuse dump and all that. And they look at us as we are
the one that are problematic."
Then I told the person, I said, "What if we are the ones actually mad and not them?" The person was like, "Oh, yes, let me get thinking. Let me know if I'm the one mad, not these mad people." And until that day, I was like, how can I get you, thinking that deep? To even want to see yourself and get to know if you're the one mad, crazy, and not the madman on the street.
Okay,
power of word.
Let's see. You seen someone eating from the trash can, and you see this man is mentally ill. Technically we don't want to call them mad people. We say mentally challenged.
Okay, mental.
Yeah, that's the polite way. It's like people, we don't call someone leper.
Yes.
We say people affected by leprosy. We want to really not stigmatize, reduce the propensity of stigmatization. So you see someone eating from the trash can, and then you're lamenting and saying bad things. And then the two of you are sat before a panel of professors and enlightened people, and they say, why are you eating from the trash can? And they say, okay, you're the first person who is complaining. Why do you call, hey, who eats from the trash can, blah, 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 blah. It's bad, it's bad, he's a threat, this man has poor judgment. Then you ask the other one that was eating from the trash can, you say, well, I've seen this food neatly covered and thrown in the trash can. I know elsewhere people are starving because they never had this food. And I saw that his health is covered. I open it, I saw it's fresh, it's not rotten, and I'm helping to conserve food. Now who is mad among them?
Yes, of course, it has to be one who ordinarily would think he's the one.
That is a judgment. You are not seeing things from their own perspective.
Yeah,
that's the issue. So really, insight is a good thing. Sometimes you have to really think of what the other person is thinking and to explain their action. Yes. But we know ordinarily society we have tendency to stigmatize. Yes. but we need a lot of insight into our nature and why we do things. That way we're better able to manage our affairs and we behave appropriately.
Well, thank you very much, Prof, for being in the studio. At this point, I'll just let you breathe, not like Nigerians, asked to be, let breathe.
Let the ordinary man breathe.
Let the ordinary man breathe. Okay, I'll let Prof breathe because we have to go on a short break. When we come back, it's going to be your own time. In case you have a question, stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Mr. Politician, it's good to see you again. It's been so long since you've been here. You had me thinking you were dead. How's your taxpayer mansion? How was your...
The Financial Services Regulation Coordinating Committee, FSRCC, in collaboration with the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, wishes to draw the attention of the public to the worrisome increase in the activities of illegal financial operators, IFOs, which threaten public trust and the stability of the Nigerian financial system. The FSRCC and NBC hereby advises the general public to refrain from dealing with unlicensed financial operators who deceive individuals with unrealistically high investment returns. Make sure to verify the licensing status of such companies and schemes on this website. To report any suspicions of illicit financial activities, call 0700 225 5226, 0800 225 5226, or +234 817 665 6273. Let's work together to uphold the integrity of Nigeria's financial system. Announcer, FSRCC.
Are you bored and need some company? Get a TV experience like no other on Unity TV. We are turning up the hits with captivating TV shows, electrifying political programs, music, movies, and lots more that will leave you craving. I'm sure you want to know more. Tune in to Unity TV today and let the excitement take over.
Please pay attention. It starts from the foundation. Everybody needs somebody. You turn a blind eye and care nothing less. Say it's just business, all about the money. You are so unbothered as long as they pay. Say it's just business, all about the money. You know they're on a fast lane, but you've got business to run. So you look away the other way.
It concerns you. It kill law, it kill dreams. It land people for jail. War against drug abuse.
TV. I'm so glad because today's topic has to do with you, and it has to do with me, and that is why I'm so happy. And now is that segment that you need also to make your contributions. The studio line remains the same, okay, 0703235315. And if you want to also send in your comments via our Facebook page, you can just go radio, Unity FM radio, FM radio /TV Just, and she will just be with us there. I'll read them at the appropriate time. And if you want to send in an SMS, you just go 0808-478-9999. I'll read your comments. You may need to do that very quickly because I would have to read them before we get done with this segment. Professor Sabo is in the studio. We have been talking issues that has to do with mental health. Okay, your mental health actually, and my mental health. And so, you may want to ask questions or you have a contributions. It's wonderful. It's your segment. Of course, comments made on this platform, remember, they are not the position of Unity 93.3 FM and TV. And you have to do the needful by just sticking to the rules of the game. In here, we don't confront, we don't insult, we don't say anything that would deteriorate our efforts in peace building. And so you may want to stick to the rules of the game here. And so thank you so much. At this point, the studio line is booting, and so as it does, let me just let Prof to just say anything else you would have loved to say as regarding the topic today before we pick our first call today.
Well, honestly, there has to be effort in tailoring the way society is governed, and we have to keep monitoring the mental health of the whole society.
I love it when you say we have to keep monitoring.
Yes. Because all these shapumlera, as I've said for the third time,
yes,
is a symptom, it's a sign of a problem, larger societal problem, economic problem, security problem, okay, even political problem. And I think it is bad if we ignore the obvious signs of this problem. They may lead to bigger problems in the future, the near future. So when you see this kind of mass hysteria, people complain that they've lost an organ and it's spreading, it's a sign. Even from the first just crisis, that's what happened. The Shapumlera phenomenon was there.
Okay.
It means the mental health among people is poor. It is triggered by other things.
How is it affecting families? Oh my. How is it affecting families? Let's see.
Well, I will see.
Mr. Politician, it's good to see you again. It's been so long since you've been here. You had me thinking you were dead.